Hello, everyone. Welcome to another installment of Blackfish Gallery interviews. This week, I'm really excited to present some of the artists that will be performing and exhibiting this month in October in our Be About Love Festival and Love Politik exhibition in the gallery. We've got today artist Arvie Smith, dancer choreographer Kayla Banks, photographer Alice Christine Walker, and performers the Savage family, John, Claudia, and their daughter River. So thank you all so much for being here today. We have taken on an awesome feat of creating this incredible show that is a community show and really celebrates love, which we need more than ever right now with what we're dealing with between COVID and upcoming elections and just the tensions that we're feeling right now in our worlds. And we as a community at Blackfish really just wanted to put that energy out into our community. So we, the Love Politik, One World Indivisible is an exhibition, and we have invited our own members and some other past members and other artists that have shown with us before, and as well as conducted a juried call to artists. So it's really exciting. We've got a great variety of people and viewpoints that are represented in the show. And then the Be About Love Festival, we are hosting performances every Friday at 7:30 on our website, www.blackfish.com. You'll be able to see incredible performances that cover across many genres. So we have this weekend, we have the Savage family and Kayla Banks, and also Mary Dawn Duckler, who is not here. We already interviewed her in the last interview, but she will be performing this Friday the 9th at 7:30. So everyone here is just going to tell us more about their piece in the show. Really excited to have you here and to get a little just more info and details about the work that you've got in the show. So we're going to start first with Arvie Smith, who is kind of a legend around here in Portland. He is a former member at Blackfish, and we're so excited to have him back at the gallery this month showing with us. So welcome, Arvie.
Oh, thank you, Kristin. Thank you so much for inviting me. Now, you wanted that we start talking about the work.
Yeah, please talk about the piece that you have in the show for Love Politik at in the gallery.
Okay. Well, my work addresses oppression and injustices in our system, and I also like to address the possibility, the hope that I see coming, that presenting itself right now in extremely difficult times. I see us, although we're in a position where someone is trying to divide us even more, I think I can see us coming together as a people. And this hasn't always been the case. I think we look at, as a Black man, I see Black people have been criminalized. It's a crime to be Black, driving while Black, walking while Black, et cetera, et cetera. This has to do with our justice system, which didn't just start yesterday. This goes all the way back to slavery. And I mentioned to you, Kristin, that I'm from Los Angeles, but the first part of my life was in the South, in the Jim Crow South in Texas. So I saw the realities of the separate drinking fountains, the separate doorways, the separate waiting stations, et cetera, et cetera. This has somewhat disappeared on the surface, but there's still underlying things that we deal with day by day, as we can see that's is showing itself here in Portland right now, those kind of divisions that are encouraged by the leader of our country. So I'm looking at how can we address, how can we have a conversation around the kinds of injustices that Black people experience just from being, just because they are Black. And we can see this with Floyd, we can see this with Breonna, we can see this with all of the people that, that we have lost in our society. In talking about that, that break, that our justice system, this goes all the way back to slavery. But and in that, there was a law, an act in the mid 1700s called the casual killing of slaves. And you could kill a slave, and it was not a felony as long as you were in the process of correcting that person that you owned. So this is the background of what we see today, and it continues. The casual killing of a slave, Breonna Taylor. That's just hard to believe, and I think we all know. But the fact that the endangering of the people next door was more important than the killing of that Black woman. And this has gone on forever. In fact, Black women are less likely to have some kind of attention paid to those illegal kinds of death. But the hope part, the hope part is I see not just Black people in the streets, I see white people in the streets, and white people are only in America. When you came to America, you became white. But I see this all over the world. Black people are on the bottom rank, but these kinds of protests that we're seeing today are happening all over the world. So in my piece, I call it Hands Against the Wall. It's a 36 by 60 oil on canvas depiction of a Black man. And he's pressing against an invisible glass wall. And through the glass wall, you have bullet holes puncturing that wall. And what I'm talking about is this invisible wall that Black people come up against. And in everything that you can imagine in housing, in every aspect of your life, you will deal with those kinds of, that kind of resistance. So that's basically what I'm talking about here. And behind this figure is another figure that's I painted in grays, and one hand is red and one hand is green. And the left hand, the red hand, is usually the bad hand. It's just, you know, those kind of symbols that represent itself in our culture. So that is, I'm kind of talking about, I also have him in a prison hat, but I'm kind of talking about how we are viewed when we are approached by the authorities. We are viewed as criminals. And I'm not making this up. I've experienced this time and time and time again. And when I talk to my white friends, they haven't had those kinds of experiences. So I put this kind of ghostly man with a gun in one hand and a razor in another hand, which is something that produces fear. And sometimes I think that's what the authorities and perhaps our citizenry sees when they see a Black man, especially Black young male. We have been criminalized, and I've talked to people when they see a young Black male, especially 2 or 3, if they're walking down the street, they will cross the street. So I made this guy. He's just an innocent working guy. He's a bit in the background. I have sort of Keystone cops who are with smoking guns relating to the indiscriminate killing of Black men. The other thing is, I don't know that this is pathetic, but I looked up eviction notices, and I have an eviction sign, and that's on its way. It's on its way here. I'm looking at the homeless people. The homeless camps are growing and growing and growing, and it's housing, I think, is a human right. We're the richest country in the world, and all of these people are out in the streets, and there's more to come. Something isn't right. So this is basically what my piece is about. I have this man sort of coming down a stairway, and there was, oh, you're from New York, Diablo, but anyway, he was gunned down on his, in New York.
That story, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So basically, that's what the piece is about. I'm making that civil rights connection between the casual killing of a slave. Policemen don't get convicted of anything. I think one person has ever been convicted of felony murder of a Black man. I might be wrong on that, but I know I'm close. And so this is what I'm talking about. And also, in this piece, I have this ghost guy, kind of, but his hand is not white, not Black, but white, holding a Bible. And then there's this coon, this derogatory image of Black people. And if you think of the myth of Ham, Christianity hasn't done us a whole lot of favors. And this is kind of what we live with, and it's something that we have to address. We can't simply say, well, religion is good for all of us, Christianity is good for all of us. It also needs some reforms. But anyway, that's basically what the piece is about. I have in the lower right-hand corner, I have a slave ship, and the lower left-hand corner, I have a picture of Christ, which you really have to kind of look at it and say, oh, that's what it is. And that's some I like putting those kinds of inferences into my work.
Yeah, I saw the piece in the gallery today because it's the first time I walked in the gallery and saw the show up, and I had saw the piece online, but seeing it in person and how big it is, and then really able to then pick up on so many of those small things that you're talking about, that kind of hidden pictures almost in the background, those references. I'm going to share my screen so we can all look at it together. And if anybody else has any comments, this is an open conversation for everybody here to share about too. So bear with me a moment. I'm going to share my screen so you guys all can see Arvie's piece that he's been talking about. Can you all see it? Oops, the wrong way.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Questions, comments?
Yeah, it's definitely very layered, and I like, they say that that people don't look at a piece for longer than 30 seconds. And I think this piece in scale and also symbolism really demands that you look at it longer. And it's like even pointing out, you know, the Christ figure in the lower left. Yeah, you can read the story of this image. I think it's a really effective and beautiful with its iconography to talk about all the layers of history and meaning that you've, you know, just discussed. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing, Arvie. Yeah, I feel that it's really an honor to have somebody here that represents, how do I want to say it? So I feel like you've witnessed this throughout history, right? So I feel like coming from a place from my history where I didn't live through segregation in the sense of, you know, a law, segregation laws, although definitely grew up in a very, you know, segregated community. And I think that we forget that this is not that long ago. You know, we still have people that live through this, and that this is not something that just goes away, and that we have to actively be participants in if we want to see change in the world. If we want to make policy changes, that we've got to be a part of it. And I think that I felt very convicted of this, especially being a white person, feeling that it's on us to fix this. It's not a Black issue, it's an American issue. And so I think it's great for you to raise this, especially in this show, especially at this time when we have so much going on right here in Portland too, with protests every night, and just keep pressing the issue, keep putting it in front of people, and not. I think that we've reached a tipping point where we no longer can ignore this as people continue to put the pressure on across the country, across the world, even, as you said, Arvie. I think that's the encouraging thing, is to see other people in other countries as well out in the streets protesting. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And you all really, please do come down to the gallery. We're open on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays from 11 to 5. And Arvie's piece is really something that you need to see in person to be able to take it all in and get all the details. You can, of course, go on our website and see the work as well if you don't feel comfortable coming in the gallery, but we are working really hard to keep everybody safe and healthy with following COVID protocols. So we hope you'll come visit us. So that brings us to Alice Christine Walker, who also has a piece in the show. She is one of our newest members who just came on in January, photographer and a great observer of people. So I'm excited about you being a part of this show as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm coming up upon a year of being a Blackfish member, and it's been a fantastic community, and even just seeing how the gallery's adapted to be able to have opportunities like this to share, you know, even converting what was supposed to be an in-person show with live music to quickly adapting to be able to share it virtually is really, really great to see. So I am a analog street photographer. That's part of my artist photography. I have a 1950s twin lens Rolleiflex, and I carry it with me when I travel. And I love people. I sometimes take photos without people, and I'm just not interested. I love individuality. I love personality. I love diversity. I love, you know, having conversations with strangers across the world. And I found that I'm actually somewhat not great at taking pictures at home. I feel like this type of photography that I do, I have to go out into the world. And this past December and January, I started carrying the camera around with me locally. And I think it might have something to do with a desire for anonymity, you know, that people can maybe recognize me in town. But, you know, when you're traveling, you can kind of take a photo of somebody and then disappear back into the crowd. But here, you know somebody that you're taking the photo of sometimes. But the photo I took is of two gay men embracing on the dance floor. It's at a local bar here on a queer dancing night. As a queer artist myself, I find myself really drawn to documenting these interactions and this community. And so, yeah, so it literally, my street photography is candid and it's unposed. And this was a really fun one for me. I love being in the mix, and I'm literally on the dance floor with these two men and have a little handheld flash on my Rolleiflex, and snapped a flash on them while they were embracing. And the title of the image is actually Embrace. And so, yeah, I just, my photography is a desire to show a window into the reality of other people that certain groups might not see. I found myself over the years taking photographs of people kissing and these moments of intimacy. And I think I'm really, really drawn to those moments. And I just felt this was an important one to share for this festival, not only because it was, you know, taken locally in our community, but also to reduce stigma against, you know, LGBTQ community in the gay community, to show the authenticity of love. And I hope I captured it in that image, and I was very happy to share it. So, yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen so you all can, again, so you can all see Alice's picture. Let me just get it up here.
Alice and Arvie were just in the gallery, so like it's so amazing because Arvie, we performed where I was just looking at your painting pretty much the whole time. It was so much power, and I just and then like walking all around, it's really wonderful to like hear you guys talk about your pieces because
they're fresh in our minds.
They're right there,
we
just like wow. And I have to say that Alice, I actually strangely we when we were driving home, we saw a couple, two men holding hands walking down the street, and I commented to John that I've lived a lot of places in this country, and every time I see a queer couple like being able to express affection just out in the daylight like that, like it's one of those things that just makes me feel like Portland is a place where people come to be safe, and it was really beautiful, and so your picture's gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. It's when you live here, you take for granted the acceptance of others in the community, and it is sometimes strange to travel to other places and know that that's not the way others are able to live and be openly themselves and openly love who they want to love. And so, yeah, I've definitely found myself documenting, you know, my community and trying to share for that reason, because I think my hope is that the more people see there's less stigma against it, and you can clearly see how much these two men love each other in this image, and you're just like, yeah, being gay and loving somebody of your own gender it's real and it's not a choice. And yeah, and I don't understand people who still think that way, but yeah.
I'm impressed with the composition of the piece. It's black and white, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, your shadow detail, all of that objective stuff. I'm just really intrigued with. Like, look at the shape of that chandelier and the shape of his arm. It's little things like that that just holds this together. And the three shapes, the three circles of the heads and the chandelier.
Yeah, it's a beautiful composition.
Please excuse me. I was an art teacher, so.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Alice. It's awesome. So I have next on my screen now the Savage family. We have John and Claudia and River, and I just had the pleasure of hearing their recording at the gallery. They are part of a performance group called Thick in the Throat, Honey. And that's right? Thick in the Throat, Honey. And yeah, and they do spoken word and improv jazz. And so we're just so honored to have you here. And your daughter was in on all the fun this afternoon as too. That was super awesome. Yay for homeschool COVID times.
Sort of.
She had the ultimate field trip today.
Yeah.
I mean, we were thinking a little about Be About the Love, and well, we're kind of our own COVID pod here, and River's learning music very, I mean, I think kind of, casually, just being here around us and learning poetry and from Claudia, and so we wanted to include her in this one. So River had her debut today. I like to joke that the Savage Family singers had their debut today, not Thick in the Throat, Honey.
That's bad.
But that's just bad.
That's just bad. Let's not ever call it that. It's like just terrible. I mean, it's funny that we were invited by Stephen Cohen to do this festival, and it kind of makes me crack up because he saw me. We did Risk Reward together, and he saw me do a piece because I'm still working on this longer piece about the Syrian refugees, and it was the kind of piece where people were, we did it outside, and people were coming out of the apartments like, who let the crazy woman screaming in the street? Be right there. There's a lot to scream about right now, so sorry.
Cathartic, yeah.
But I think I was excited about the opportunity to. Well, I mean, we're all, in many ways, everyone's kind of in a really dark place, especially artists. I just feel like often we're the people that people want to see, like we're the filter for the world for people. And I initially, when COVID hit, my sister is in a tiny, I'm originally from New York City, and my sister's in a tiny apartment in New York, and many of her friends' parents are dying, and I have friends all in the South whose families, sometimes they lost 2-3 people in a week. And these sorts of things don't really make you want to talk about love. They kind of make you want to run to the White House screaming. And I realized that it was very hard for me to work on this project. I've been working about the Syrians because it's hard to tell Americans to care about all these people who are in refugee camps dying when our own people are dying. I mean, it's a very strange time.
But at the same time, I think your work and what's going on have kind of, I don't know, there's a point there where the nexus where things have met one another.
Yeah, I think John and we have really fascinating conversations because as a jazz musician, he comes from a very distinctly African American tradition. And there's a way in which, I mean, I'm speaking for you, but there's a way in which there's an honoring that happens in order to play this music. There's an honoring of a community that happens. And my book has a lot of pieces in it about jazz improvisers, mostly to honor John, but then also the people that have been in our community and the people whose music that we constantly play. And my father grew up in Harlem, and I just was exposed to that music. And there's just a cultural awareness where, you know, since I was very small, I've always been like, well, Coltrane is like Beethoven. I don't know why we have any like separation
This is
there.
American culture.
Yeah, this is like
American
genius
culture.
here. And I think witnessing what was happening with the Black Lives Matter movement kind of made me finally get why I had all these pieces about jazz improvisers and all these pieces about Syrian refugees, and how this notion of wanting to have freedom in a very specific way and wanting to be heard in a very specific way, that's kind of what it's kind of the pieces that we chose to do are about. They're like a little tiny sampling. So we're waiting for the Thick in the Throat Honey grant from Creative Capital. Come on, Creative Capital. But
our struggle as a people for justice, or peoples in the world for justice.
Yeah.
The struggles of our community members during the pandemic. This was my first public space performance since February 26th, which incidentally, to give kudos to my friend, I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time keeping track what I'm saying here, but that was February 26th was Jasnam Singh was premiering the Ekta Suite, Unity Suite with the Portland Jazz Composers Ensemble, and you know, that was my last gig with anybody until like actually with my family today. So it was really stirring for me to be in that space and to see the work. Actually, Arvie, your piece was right in front of me.
Right in front
I
of
was
us.
playing saxophone, trying to, I don't know if you're familiar with David S. Ware, but we had a piece where I was playing a piece by African-American saxophonist David S. Ware, and it was in a tribute to Coltrane, Robbie Coltrane, Pharoah Sanders, Alice Coltrane, and Ware. So
those that do know.
Yeah. It just I think I'm having a hard time thinking about this now, because I'm realizing how it all kind of comes together over the last 6 months with all we've been, you sit down on your couch and you look at the news and you
talk to your friends whose family members are dying, and you sort of go, yeah, I think that's it. It's like John and I, maybe this is you guys have, thank you so much for being our testing ground in some way with this festival, because I think it's really hard to get there. It's really hard to get to that place of hope. And my friends who've been working in the refugee camps, I'm gonna start crying, because it's like, it's so bad. It's so bad. And to know that our country has not only been complicit, but has been encouraging countries to murder people, both here and in other countries. And I know this has been going on for a very long time. I mean, Arvie's probably like, yeah, Claudia, wake up. But I mean, I think there's a sense of like, sometimes when you see all those things converging in the world in a very specific way, that's why you have your kid join the gig. I don't know. I needed her to be there playing the kalimba. I needed to feel that there's a sense of life.
Well, she's a good duet partner too.
Yeah,
she's very good.
So that was a long-winded thing, but
that's great. No, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, what you said in the very beginning, kind of what you're talking about, and I think this is a really great group to reflect it, reminded me of a Nina Simone quote. And I'm going to read it really fast because I think it has to do with what everybody's work here is. And it talks about the artist's duty, and she goes, "An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. I think that it is true of painters, sculptors, poets, and musicians. As far as I'm concerned, it's their choice. But I choose to reflect the times and situations situations in which I find myself. That, to me, is my duty. And at this crucial time in our lives, when everything is so desperate, when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. Young people, Black and white, you know this. That's why they're so involved in politics. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all by anyone. So I don't think you have a choice. How can you be an artist and not reflect the times? That, to me, is the definition of an artist. No.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alice. That's so, yeah.
Powerful woman, powerful musician, powerful icon. So
Well, I think that's what's so powerful about artists too, is that while there are people out there trying to undermine and record history in a way that it didn't happen, or erase history and what happened, or try to whitewash it or sugarcoat it or whatever, that the artists really, they have this job to be historians and to capture things, and that really reflect humanity. And certainly, like Nina Simone says, and Alice, you are really touching on that point, is that this is our moment, this is our time to record what's happening here in history, and to create the narrative, and to make sure that we are hearing from all voices, especially voices on the margins, especially voices that are traditionally, just quieted or filtered. I mean, there's so many things. I think that's why it's so important to do this, even doing these interviews, to really hear the voices behind the show, because I know all of you have such incredible, brilliant things to say, and have really great thoughts on the subject that people need to hear. So thank you all for just being so real and sharing so deeply. I think this is really the goal of this. If there is a goal or objective, is really that, is to create these conversations and to keep them going. So thank you so much. And with that, keeping our conversation going is Kayla Banks. We're so honored to have Kayla here. We'd love to hear more about your performance. I'm really excited because you guys recorded it right in my neighborhood. So it's going to be fun to see that right down in St. John's in Cathedral Park and on Sylvia Island. Kayla is a dancer, choreographer, and so she will also be as part of the Be About Love Festival. So tell us a little bit more about your performance, Kayla.
Yes, hello. Thank you guys, everyone. Thank you for speaking and sharing, and I definitely follow. Yeah, I mean, we're molding and we're creating, but I think in that molding and creating, there really is the deconstructing, and that is the deconstructing of societal norms, the deconstruction of colonialism, the deconstruction of capitalism, and just like how we show up for each other. So on that note, most of my work in general, even though I identify as an Afro-Native woman and also European, I honor all my ancestry. I also relate to just also the humanness, right? We're all human beings at the end of the day, and that have stories, and have cultures, and have things that can divide us or that can bring us together. And that's a lot of my work, in that idea of like my work and my kind of like mission, if you will, kind of formed in college, as we were like forced to like be like, you need a website, and what's your mission, what's your artist statement. And so that's a lot of those pieces that I bring. And so yeah, my dance piece, I was actually similar to what echoing some of the things I've already heard. I was very lost, and I was very passive about this project, for sure. I was brought in by Stephen as well, and I've worked with Claudia, I've worked with the Savage family, and I love them very much. And I I was very passive, and I agree. Like, I think it's a dark time just for many people. There's a rise in suicides. I think being an artist, we are fortunate because we have a medium to release and express, that can be a more healthier, like more healthier option, I should say. And I was very, very passive, but it was really, I was at a retreat in Oregon, and this was being led by Viva La Free, and it was for people who identify as BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous, people of color. And I met my dance partner, so I was going to do it solo. I was going to be a solo. I was like, I don't know, I'm a partner person. I tend not to want to do work as a performing artist individually. I like collaboration. I really, really like collaboration, and think it's really necessary in shaping like multiple perspectives. And even though it was like led and directed by myself, having I met my partner in this, and my collaborator in this work, Ola, who kind of helped me envision what I wanted to do. So from this little retreat we were in, kind of just started talking. He was the one who actually gave me the inspiration for the music. And so the music is by a local Portland artist called Doya. And it's all about, they do recording sounds of like nature, and it's all like original soundscape. And I thought that was very relevant because the again, like as this festival that we're a part, we're addressing humanity, but we're also just addressing the environment. And so using that music, and then another artist who's not Portland based, is LA based, but she is a healer, Maria Jose Manjito. She's a healer, and she's a musician, and the song that I used in the video is called Cura, and so in Spanish that's cure. So this like developed into 3 scenes, 3 sequences, and it really is about more about how we show up for each other, and it's very abstract. My work is very, very, very abstract in symbolism. So in the dance film, I've gotten some good reviews from family members and from Stephen and David. David has been wonderful, as we've always said, our videographer has been absolutely wonderful to just like jump on board and go along with my extensive filming, because I did not film in the gallery. So to go on this adventure with me, and then Stephen also coming and assisting with holding light beam little reflectors and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's broken up into 3 scenes, and each of them are very interconnected, and there's a lot of symbols of, there's thread, there's nature scenes, there's a spider web, there's a spider in the spider web, which was on the bridge, and on the St. John's Bridge. So it's a very interconnected, very abstract piece about how we relate to physical structures, how we relate to nature, and how we relate to each other. In different, because we were in St. John and the park and the bridge, and then Sabi Island. So there's like a nice little palette of like different environments within the film. And yeah, my movement is typically, it's very organic. There is some improv in it, but it was choreographed, and it was like very specific forms and parts, and like ideas of like the amoeba. I use a lot of imagery as a dancer. I pull from visual art a lot too, and just like what I see and how I relate to that, and bringing that into form, physical form, body form. And yeah, so that's kind of yeah, and it has a symbol of a heart. I used a heart stone in the piece. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of, I shared a little clip with you, Kirsten. It's on Instagram, so I don't know how well it will share, but I think I'll just I think I'll just kind of there's a lot in that. There's a lot. It's an 11-minute video. 11 is a very specific number for me. It's a number that I really resonate with. So the video is like exactly 11 minutes. I think it's 11 minutes and 13 seconds. And like both of those numbers I really resonate with. So like kind of tying in like universal energy and principles as well to it. And yeah, I don't know if you want to share, but I specifically, like, kind of going off of, what I represent. I mean, on the outside, like, we are brown people, and I specifically wanted a person, an artist of color, to help me represent that message, because I think, as Archie said, as people of color, we get stereotyped into who we are and what we represent. And I like to kind of like shift that messaging, and just to bring about like that revelation of like what we can represent. Like, we're not like typed as like this or this or that. So yeah.
Awesome. So did you want me to let you share the screen and
Oh,
or
so I'm on my phone.
okay.
I don't know if I can. You can try.
Or it's going to be a teaser. I think that people should just wait till this Friday, and
You may have to just wait, or go to my Instagram. I've been posting just teasers, though, just very much teasers. But
what's
yeah,
your Instagram, Kayla?
It's Banks, BANKS.movement. So at Banks Movement.
All right, so go follow Kayla, and then you'll get a little sneak peek in a few days out before the actual performance we debut on this Friday. So thank you all so much. That was just incredible. Yeah, I can't wait to see the performance and see everybody's live performances once everything gets put on our website at blackfish.com, 7:30 on Friday. Before we go, I just kind of wrapping up some closing thoughts. I'd love for each of you to all just kind of share what you, we're unprecedented having a festival where it's virtual, and so all our viewers are out there watching us, as we don't get as much interaction as we would live in person. So what are you all hoping that our viewers, our audience, would take away from this show, be it the exhibition and the performances from the festival? Let's kick it to Arvie. We'll go back in the same order. Let's start with Arvie.
Well, I would hope that, given the times that we're living through, I would hope that we would reflect on how we conduct ourselves as a society, and how can we as individuals and as groups, how can we affect our destiny? To my way of thinking, we're headed perhaps in the wrong direction, and without some mass, which we're getting now, mass participation in encouraging the government to restructure, I think that is where our hope lies. If we don't come together in mass, we don't have a chance. So the voices of these young artists, I think, are crucial. And we didn't hear from the young child. This is our future. This is what, if I see parents influencing a child that will one day be part and leaders of this world, who will they be?
Absolutely. Thank you. Alice, thoughts?
My thought would be, there's so much that goes into each piece of art that you see on the wall, and and there's a person behind it, and there's many, many stories behind that person and why they are who they are and why they're making the work that they're making. And I would hope that through this collection of different voices, and the people engaging and seeing the work and experiencing the pieces, that they will take time to know more about the reason why these artists are creating the work. And I think for me, like, a show is always made by one person coming up to me and saying that they got it, you know, and they hear what I'm saying and that they appreciate that, like, I've done that, and they don't know how I was able to say it in that way, or make them feel that they weren't alone, you know. And I would just encourage, like, anybody, I think we're all artists, and I would just encourage anybody that sees a piece that really moves them to reach out to the artist and just, like, let them know that they hear, that they know, that they see, that they connect, and they agree, and they appreciate the work being done. So, yeah.
Is that a 1920 Leica? What's your camera?
A 1920 Leica portrait camera.
Leica?
Oh, my camera?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a 1950s twin lens Rolleiflex. So it's a big old chunky square one. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and on that, if you feel like reaching out, my Instagram handle is roaming with my rollie, like the camera. So roaming with my rollie.
It's great. That's why Alice is the life of every party.
That laugh.
John and Claudia and River, you're welcome to join in the conversation, River.
Can I tell it? Did you have something to say? I was going to tell a daughter story.
Tell a daughter story.
Yeah. I think I just see, like, my daughter and other children just being concerned about things in a way that didn't even occur to me when I was her age, and that definitely gives me hope for the world. Like, it's just innate. And yeah, I think for me anyway, and I'll let John speak for himself, but for me, sometimes I just feel like if somebody's heart is just opened in some way, that they can pause and actually listen to that I feel like I've done my job. And I think right now there's a lot of people walking around like a big wound anyway, but if they can just take a moment and soften to the needs of others, that would be a good start.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Softening to the needs of others. And I see a lot of empathy in some of River's friends and classmates as we watch these Zoom educational experiences going on the last 2 weeks.
Which are insane.
And 3 weeks, pardon me, River.
Who's counting?
Nice ICCs. And yeah, I hope people get a greater sense of empathy, because some of the rhetoric in our world right now lacks compassion and empathy, and I think art can bring that back for people in a big way. So
yeah,
that's what I hope.
Truly, art has that effect where we're able to look at a piece of art and talk about and have a conversation that's different than, you know, a Facebook meme or, you know, an argument with your family that maybe doesn't see eye to eye with you, you know, and you're just kind of arguing about the issues, where art really, like, as you're saying, goes right for the heart and really has that way of softening and opening us up and starting to consider maybe maybe I didn't see things the way, seeing things differently, and it's powerful. And that's, I think, the really, the takeaway here, I find with art every time, it has a way of just showing us humanity again and again, and connecting us through that humanity. So, yeah.
Sorry, sorry, can I just interject?
You're going to bring,
I didn't know.
It's you. It's all you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yes to all of that. I just hope that people, like, I guess from my work and then from all of our works, show up for each other more. I think that's what we need right now, is people showing up for one another, like emotional, like real empathetic, like support, like showing up for people in their darkness and in their troubles, and trying not to, it like really pains me with the movement, like the Black Lives Matter, with the refugees, with like so many things, is like the backlash of being judgmental and critical and casting stones and just being angry, and not coming from a place of privilege, and not coming from a place of like, let me step back, let me step down and be like, okay, how can I show up for somebody else, even in the smallest of ways? I mean, and that's a lot of the community organizing going on right now, is like, it's resources, it's emotional support. So it's like, for me, it's like whatever you can give. Like, I think that's what this world, like, and the things that we're going through, it's there. I think Times Magazine put an article or an issue out of like, this is not like normal times, and my friend had shared it on Facebook, and yeah, this is definitely like people screaming out, the earth screaming out, like, this is like, wake the F up. I'm sorry, like, I am not a filtered person, but I'll filter it that way. But wake up. Yeah, like really wake up. And how can we become more conscious? And I think just healing. Like, I hope, for me, doing the piece was very, very healing. Especially scene 3 was very, very, for me, healing, and brought me a lot of healing. And the people that I worked with, brought me a lot of healing, and just allowed me to kind of have that catharsis, like that energy and that pain, like holding in, just like let it out. So yeah, just love. But love is, I think, love is a lot of things, but I think love is action. We got to show up.
Yeah. That's a great way to end it. Thank you so much for all showing up. Really, truly, it's an honor I'm getting like weepy eyed just talking to you all. This is really beautiful, and it's been a healing experience for me. I'm so glad that Christopher and Mary Dawn and Stephen had really, they have been the brainchild of this show, and Alberto as well, dreaming this up over a year ago, really, and really having the foresight to really, things have just evolved so much, even more since then. The tensions, and like you're saying, between the earth crying out and people crying out in the streets, and just so much. So it's really been a gift to this whole community. So we're really honored to get to share it. So thank you for all contributing all your time and your talents to this project, this special project, and we're so honored to have you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay, Kayla, I can't wait to see your piece. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
It's weird. It's Portland weird.
Weird.
Your part.
Keep it weird.
Yes, definitely weird.
I'd like to say something. I saw a T-shirt the other day that said, "I am my ancestors' wildest dream."
Nice.
At the young lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's on you. Go for it.
Wonderful.
We have to take our 8-year-old to ice cream now, you guys. That's our like a 3.5 hour thing at the gallery.
That's a good deal. Yeah.
Ever.
You've earned that ice cream for sure. Enjoy it. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.